Hi, I'm Martin from the Corian Fabrications. Now what we're doing today, we're going to repair a piece of Corian. What we've done, we've mocked up a work surface in Antarctica, and basically what we've done, we've hit it with an hammer a few times just to damage it, and we've rubbed some coffee into it just to show you how it does stain up over a period of time once a piece of Corian is cracked. Now Corian shouldn't damage easily if it's been fabricated properly. Now, as I say, what we're going to do is we're going to basically repair a piece today just to show you how easily it is to be repaired. Okay. Now, what I've done, I've measured from this point here to this point here, which is 75 millimeters. I've marked a line already here and here and here, basically just to show where I need to put some strips of wood, just to basically use as a guide from the edge of the router. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to pre-glue those on. Okay, so that one goes there like so. That one goes there like so, and this one goes here like so. Now this gives me a guide to actually run the edge of the router along to actually put a V-groove in here to router out the damaged piece of Corian. So here we go. Okay, now that's done, and now what we're going to do is clean it off and basically stick in the section of V section. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. The V section of Corian, just to basically repair that joint. Right, now as you can see, I've cut all the individual pieces to go into the V groove. Now obviously we've got 3 pieces here. Now obviously I've actually put the correct angles on each piece, so we've got no actual visible joints there when it all comes to be glued up. Now I don't know if you can see it, but when we do a V groove at the bottom of the router bit itself, there's actually a flat spot, so I've just had to take off a small flat section there. I don't know if you can see that, of the bottom of the angled piece that we've cut, just so it sits in nicely. Now what we have to do, we have to now clean the joint. Okay, now I've cleaned it once already, and I'm just going to go through on a second time. Now we have to clean it with a product called ethanol, which is 95% pure alcohol. Okay, so I'm just cleaning that out, and now what I've got to do, I've actually got to glue some clamps to the work surface, basically, so we can actually clamp down each individual piece. Now they slot in like so. Okay, just make sure they're lined up. Okay, so that's that. Right, now also what I've done, I've actually made some pieces of wood to actually go along the actual strips of Corian. The reason being is, I'll just move those out of the way. The reason we have to do that is because if we just used these clamps, it will just put pressure on one point, which we don't want. We want pressure on all of it. So by putting the pieces of wood on, then obviously we're going to get equal pressure throughout. So I'm now just going to move that section there. Okay, now obviously the adhesive will match the actual Corian itself, and something I didn't mention at the beginning was basically the people that manufactured or fabricated the work surface, when they come to install your work surface, they should have actually given you a piece of the actual Corian to keep, just in case it did get damaged. Now some companies give you a piece and basically make it into a chopping board for you and tell you not to throw it away, just in case you do have any accidents. If you have got a piece, then obviously we can match it up perfect. If you haven't, we can only match it to the best of our abilities. Now Corian is like wallpaper, it comes in batches, okay, with a batch number. As I say, we can match it up to the best we possibly can, but it can't be 100% if you haven't got a piece. Now what we're going to do, we're just going to offer that piece into there. Obviously the adhesive is going to squeeze out nicely. We're going to offer that piece in there, like so. Okay. And we're going to offer this piece in here, like so. Okay. By doing this, you'll see the adhesive, well, you probably can't see, but the adhesive actually squeezes out the sides. Okay, so we just want to make sure that they're all nice and tight up, which they are now. Okay, I'm going to start with the big one. And we're just going to move that over, and we're going to clamp that down. Okay. By doing that, that's just going to give us a really nice joint. Now, what you tend to find as well with Corian, you tend to find that the joints are actually stronger than the actual sheet product itself. Okay, so when we've done this, obviously we're going to have a really good strong joint, but what we will do, we will also, on the underside, okay, obviously when it's in an actual proper kitchen environment, then obviously you can't 100% access to it, but we will put, or if we can, we try and put reinforcement on the underside. Okay, so that's that section done. Okay, now all we have to do now is basically leave that for about 20 minutes just to let the adhesive go off, and then we can sand that flat, and then we can get the other joint done. Okay, so there you go. Okay, right, so now the adhesive is dry, so what we're going to do, we're going to remove the clamps. Okay, and obviously the strips of wood. We're going to take these off. Now, they should just prise off nice and easily. Sometimes they need a little bit of help. Okay, there we go. That one. And that one. There. Okay. Right, so we have this joint now, or this sandwich section, all done. So what we're going to do, we're just going to clean off this section here. So when we router this section out here, we've got a nice flat base to run to. Obviously to do that, we're going to be using an orbital sander. Now we're going to take off this section just here first. So we've got the router has got a nice flat bed to run to. So I'm going to do that. So that's that section done. So as I say, what we're going to do, we're going to basically measure off 75 millimeters from that point there, and this point here, and basically run 2 strips of MDF, and then basically router that out. Okay. Right, I'm going to glue these strips of wood on. Okay. Same thing there. What I've done is just move the put these battens 75 millimeters away from the actual edge. Now what I've done here also is, because we've got a slight curve there, rather than putting 2 actual pieces in, I've just split it between the distances there of the 2 routed edges. Okay, so that's just going to make life a little bit easier, but it will do the same, exactly the same job as before. Now here we go, we're going to router this out, and we're going to take this right to the actual edge. Now if it was a long length, we'd actually just put a stop in and we just round the end off slightly, but it's just much easier just to run it right through if we are near an end. So we're just going to run that through, obviously keeping this 90 degrees. Okay, that's the second joint done. Now obviously what we have got a little bit here, okay, but that's obviously below the point of the edge. Okay, so we're going to just clean that off and glue that up as before. So that's that routed. The pieces are cut, same as before. We're basically putting that in there and we're putting those on top and we're clamping it down. So I'm just going to give it a quick clean and just to, as I say, make sure that there is absolutely no muck on there at all, because obviously with it being a very light work surface, any kind of dirt will basically show straight through on the joint. So we actually clean both pieces, okay, so we know that it's completely 100% spotless, okay, and also make sure that the ends are clean as well, because obviously that is where it's going to really show any marks. So we're going to basically glue these down as before. Okay, so one there. Right, so we're starting to sand. We're going to start with basically an 80 grit sanding disc. Then we're going to work our way right down basically to a 320 and then it to be polished up. So 80, 120, 180 and then 240, and that will have his, and then 320 to finish off with then a fine polish. Okay, here we go. Right, that's the 80 grit done. Now we're going to go on to the 120, just to get rid of any circular marks, or if there's any yellows from where we've actually done a little bit of excessive sanding. It seems to be fine, but we're going to give So we've gone through all the processes of all the sanding. We've gone from the 80 right through to the 240 we've just done. So we're just going to finish it off with a 320. Okay, and then basically what we do with the 320, when we're sanding, we do it in a figure of 8, so it leaves no sanding marks. Have one repaired piece of Corian. So there you go. I've shown you that Corian, iMac or even iGene can be repaired, or any other composite work surfaces. So if you'd like to send us a picture of your damaged work surface, and if you lay a tape measure of that damaged area, then we can actually assess the size of the damage. Okay, so if you'd like to email us a picture, as I say, we can basically give you a quote for the repair. If you email us at enquiries@nalex.co.uk, that would be great. But if you also need a new work surface, please contact us. Take care. Goodbye.